Stop. Just for a moment, stop. I know your mind is racing. I know there are things weighing on you that no one around you can see. Fears you've learned to hide. Questions that went unanswered. Nights that lasted far too long. I know about the smile you put on in the morning while something inside you is still tight. I know about the conversations you never had, about the tears that came when no one was watching, about the moments you wondered if any of this would ever pass. I see all of it. And I didn't come here to give you a list of things to do. I came because I have something to tell you, and you need to hear it today. Stay with me. I want to talk about fear. Not the way the world talks about it, as if it were a weakness to be overcome, a problem to be solved, an emotion to be ignored until it disappears. I want to talk about fear the way it actually is. Heavy, persistent, and most of the time completely invisible to everyone around you. Because you've learned to function with it, haven't you? You've learned to wake up in the morning even when the anxiety is already there before you are. You've learned to answer messages, go to work, take care of the people you love, all of it while carrying something inside that no one can see. A constant state of alertness, an alarm that never fully shuts off. I know that exhaustion. Not the physical kind. I'm talking about the exhaustion of always being on guard. The exhaustion of scanning every situation for what could go wrong. The exhaustion of loving people while being afraid of losing them. The exhaustion of building something while being afraid of watching it fall apart. The exhaustion of waking up every single day and having to face once again that voice inside you that says, "What if it doesn't work out?" I know about that voice. I know about the fear of the future, the kind that has no clear shape but is always there. You can't point to exactly what you're afraid of, but you feel like something could come crashing down at any moment. Your finances, your health, a relationship, life as you know it. I know about the fear of losing the people you love, the one that makes you check your phone when someone takes too long to reply, the one that shows up in thoughts you never asked for, images of loss, of absence, of a world without someone you can't imagine losing. I know about the fear of not being enough, of failing, of letting people down, of the day when everyone finally sees that you're not as strong as you seem. And I know about something few people ever say out loud, the fear of not being able to take one more day like this. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying it because I was there in those moments, and you were not alone even when it felt like you were. There's something I need you to understand before we go any further. The fear you feel is not proof that I pulled away. It's not proof that your faith is too small. It's not proof that you are weak. Fear is proof that you are human, and I created humanity. I know every layer of who you are. Your struggle doesn't surprise me, and I don't love you any less because of it. But there's something else I need to tell you, something fear will never tell you. It's lying to you. Fear speaks as if it knows the future. It speaks as if the worst-case scenario is the most likely one. It speaks as if I wasn't here. But I am. I was with you through every long night, through every moment of silent panic, through every prayer that came out incomplete because the words wouldn't come, through every time you simply didn't know what to ask for anymore, and you just sat there in silence, hoping I would understand. I understood. I always understand. And today, right now in this moment, I didn't come to give you answers to all your questions. I came to remind you of something fear made you forget, that you don't have to walk through this alone, that I am already in the tomorrow you fear so much, that the same hands that created the heavens and the earth are the same hands holding your life together right now. You don't know how things will work out. I do. You can't see what lies ahead. I can. You don't have the strength to carry all of this. You don't need to, because I came here today to tell you that this weight was never meant to be carried by you. There is a truth that no fear can destroy, and I am about to show it to you.
The fear you feel is real. I'm not here to minimize that. I didn't come to tell you it's easy, that it's simple, that all you have to do is think positive and everything will be fine. I know the weight of what you're carrying. I know there are days when faith feels too small for the size of what you're facing. But there is one thing fear will never be able to change. I am greater than it. Not slightly greater, infinitely greater, and I am on your side. Long before this fear had a name, before you were even born, I already knew exactly which valley you would walk through. I had already prepared the way. I was already here. And I spoke this through the psalmist, and I say it to you again now. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Psalm 46, verse 1. Let that word settle in you for a moment. Refuge, strength, ever-present help. Not help that comes when you do everything right, not help that shows up after you stop being afraid. Ever-present help. In the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the doubt, in the middle of everything that still has no answer. I am never late. I am never distracted. I do not fall asleep while you are struggling. And I didn't ask you to fix the fear before coming to me. I called you with the fear, exactly as you are right now, with trembling hands, with unanswered questions, with a heavy heart. Because the turning point you need doesn't begin when the fear disappears. It begins now. In the moment you decide that in spite of everything, you will keep listening to my voice. And my voice says to you today, do not be afraid. Not because there is nothing to fear, but because I am here. And when I am here, truly here at the center of your life, fear loses the final word. That is the truth I came to show you today, and it begins right now.
I want to show you something about chaos. Most people believe God's presence means the absence of problems, that if I were truly here, the mountains wouldn't shake, the waters wouldn't roar, life wouldn't fall apart, that true faith is the kind that never sees a storm. But I never promised that. What I promised was far deeper and far more real than any absence of hardship could ever be. Think with me for a moment. When a ship crosses the ocean during a storm, the surface of the water is violent, massive waves, cutting wind, everything unstable. But go deep enough, below all that turbulence, and the water is completely still, motionless. The storm exists at the surface. In the depths, it never reaches. That is what I offer you. Not a life without storms, a depth that the storm cannot reach. I spoke this through the psalmist, and I say it to you again now, personally, for the specific situation you are facing. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. Psalm 46, verses 1 through 3. Mountains falling into the sea, the very earth giving way. This is not a poem about small problems. This is a poem about the worst-case scenario. And even there, the answer remains the same. I am your refuge. I know your life may feel exactly like that right now. Perhaps your finances are shaking. Perhaps an important relationship is falling apart. Perhaps your health, your plans, your security, everything you built with so much effort feels far too fragile. And fear whispers, what if it all collapses at once? I hear that question, and my answer is not silence. The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord is on his heavenly throne. Psalm 11, verse 4. While your life trembles, I do not tremble. While your certainties disappear, I remain. While what was solid seems to crumble, my throne stands unshakable, and you are under its shadow. The Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty, mightier than the thunder of the great waters, mightier than the breakers of the sea. The Lord on high is mighty. Psalm 93, verses 1 through 4. Mightier than the waters, higher than the waves. That means that no circumstance in your life, no matter how chaotic, how frightening, how out of control it may seem, is beyond my reach. Nothing you are facing caught me off guard. Nothing that is coming will take me by surprise. I am already there. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46, verse 10. Be still, not because the problem is gone, but because I am here. And when I am here, chaos does not have the final word. I do.
There is a kind of pain that is different from all the others. It's not the pain of a problem without a solution. It's not the pain of a difficult situation. It's the pain of looking around at the people who were supposed to be there and feeling completely alone. You felt this before. Maybe you asked for help and didn't receive it. Maybe you opened up to someone and regretted it. Maybe you prayed over and over with a broken heart and felt like your words never made it past the ceiling, that I wasn't listening, that the silence was the answer. I need you to know something about that silence. It was not abandonment. I know it felt that way. I know that when everything is quiet and no one responds, the most painful interpretation is the easiest one to believe, that you are alone, that there is no one, not even me. But I was there. In every prayer that came out halfway, in every night the phone didn't ring, in every moment you waited and no one showed up, I was there. Not as a distant observer, but as someone who was sitting with you in the middle of that pain. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? That is an honest question. The question of someone who looked everywhere possible and didn't find what they needed. Someone who lifted their eyes, not out of blind trust, but out of real desperation, and asked, where will my help come from? And I answered, and I answer again now. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Not from favorable circumstances, not from people who never fail. Your help comes from me, from the creator of everything that exists. And I do not grow weary. I am never distracted. I do not fall asleep while you are struggling. He who watches over you will not slumber. While you slept, exhausted from crying, I was awake. While the weight of the night pressed down on you, I was present. While everyone around you rested, unaware of what you were carrying, I saw. And I didn't just see, I kept record. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. Every tear has a record.
Every moment of pain has a witness. I saw each one of them, and not one was in vain. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. I know you completely. Not the version you present to the world, not the version you wish you were. You, exactly as you are, with everything you carry, with everything you haven't worked through yet. And I choose to stay. You may feel alone, but you have never been alone. I was there before you even realized you needed me, and I will still be here when everyone else is gone.
I want to tell you about a place. Not a physical place, not an address you can visit or a circumstance you need to reach first. A place that exists right now, while the fear is still present, while the questions still have no answers. A place called my presence. Most people look for security in circumstances. They feel secure when their finances are stable, when their health is good, when their relationships are at peace, when the future seems predictable. And I understand that because I created you to live in a world where those things matter. But there is a problem with that kind of security. It disappears. Circumstances change. What was stable can shake. What seemed certain can fall apart. And when the security you built starts to crack, fear seeps through every gap. That is why I offer you something different. I offer you myself. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Psalm 91, verses 1 and 2. To dwell in the shelter of the Most High. Not to visit, not to show up in moments of crisis and leave when things get better. To dwell, to make this place your permanent home, the place you set out from and the place you return to, the center of your life. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. Psalm 91, verse 4. Think of the image of a mother bird covering her chicks with her wings during a storm. The chick doesn't stop the storm. It doesn't have the strength for that, but it hides beneath the wings, and there, covered, protected, held by the warmth of those wings, it makes it through what it never could have survived alone. You are that chick, and I am the wings. I'm not asking you to be strong enough to face the fear head on. I'm asking you to hide in me, to come with the fear still present, with your hands still trembling, with your questions still unanswered, and let yourself be covered. Have mercy on me, my God, have mercy on me, for in you I take refuge. I will take refuge in the shadow of your wings until the disaster has passed. Psalm 57, verse 1. Until the disaster has passed. Not pretending it doesn't exist, not trying to be stronger than it, but staying beneath my wings until it passes, and it will pass. Trust is not the absence of fear. Trust is remaining steadfast in spite of it. David was afraid. The Psalms are full of his fears, real, raw, desperate. But David made a repeated choice day after day, the choice to trust in me even when the fear wouldn't go away, even when the circumstances didn't change, even when the danger was still right there. Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Psalm 124, verse 8. The safest place in the world is not a favorable situation. It is my presence, and you are already in it.
There's an exhaustion that goes beyond the body. You probably know physical tiredness, the kind a good night's sleep can fix. But I'm talking about something else. The exhaustion of the soul. The kind that doesn't go away after a night of rest. The kind that's already there in the morning when you open your eyes and feel the weight of the day before it even begins. It's the exhaustion of someone who has been fighting for far too long. Of someone who prayed and waited and believed and is still in the middle of the valley. Of someone who has no more words to pray, no more tears to cry, no more strength to keep appearing strong. Of someone who has reached a point where they are simply surviving, but can no longer remember what it feels like to truly live. I know that place, and I came to you there, because that is exactly the place I wrote Psalm 23 for. Not for people who are doing well, not for moments of celebration, for the valleys, for the shadows, for the moments when the soul is dry and the road seems far too long. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. Psalm 23, verses 1 through 3. A shepherd doesn't force the flock to keep going when it's exhausted. He finds a place of rest. He leads them to quiet waters, not to rough waters, not to the next challenge, not to the next responsibility, to quiet waters. And there, I restore your soul, not after the situation changes, not when the problem is resolved, now, in the middle of the valley, before the way out appears, I am already beginning to restore what was lost. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23, verse 4. David doesn't talk about the absence of valleys. He talks about companionship inside the valleys. You will not walk through this valley alone. I am here, not on the outside waiting for you to come out, but inside, right beside you, with every step along the darkest path. You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. Psalm 63, verse 1. A dry and parched land, no water, no relief in sight. But even there, especially there, he sought me, not with perfect faith, with thirst, with honesty, with a broken heart stretched out in my direction. And I honor that. I honor thirst more than performance. I draw near to the soul that comes empty faster than to the soul that comes full of itself. If you are exhausted right now, if you have made it this far running on empty, I need you to know that does not disqualify you from me. It draws you closer to me. Since my youth, God, you have taught me, and to this day I declare your marvelous deeds. Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God. Psalm 71, verses 17 through 18. From beginning to end, through every season, through every valley, through every moment when strength ran out, I am here. God's presence feeds the soul before the situation ever changes, and I am already feeding you, right now, in this very moment, while you are still in the middle of the road.
I need to talk about something few people have the courage to admit out loud. Doubt. Not the small kind, the kind that comes and goes quickly. I'm talking about deep doubt. The kind that is born when you look at your own life, then look at the lives of people who want nothing to do with me, and start asking a dangerous question. Why do they seem to be doing fine, and I'm not? I know that question. It doesn't shame you before me. It doesn't push you away from me.
In fact, one of my most faithful servants asked it, with an honesty that few dare to bring before God. His name was Asaph. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold, for I envied the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Psalm 73, 2-3. He almost slipped. He almost lost his footing, not because he was weak, but because he was being honest about what he saw, and what he saw made no sense. And inside, a voice began to whisper, "Is it even worth it?" I know you've heard that voice. Maybe you worked with integrity while others cheated and were rewarded. Maybe you prayed, believed, waited, and watched people who never gave me a second thought receive exactly what you had been asking for. Maybe you did everything right, and things still went wrong. I'm not here to give you an easy answer, because there is no easy answer for that kind of pain. But I want to show you what happened to Asaph, because what happened to him will happen to you too. He entered my presence. When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply till I entered the sanctuary of God. Then I understood their final destiny. Psalm 73, 16-17. The turning point didn't come from an explanation. It didn't come from circumstances changing. It came from the moment he stopped trying to understand everything with a human mind and entered my presence. There, his perspective shifted. I see the end of the story. You see one chapter. And sometimes the chapter you're living right now looks like the final defeat, but I know it isn't. I know what comes next. I know what I am building through what you are walking through. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. Psalm 40, 1-2. From the pit to the rock, from the mud to solid ground. But between those 2 points, there is a waiting, and the waiting is the hardest part. Waiting on me is not passivity. It is not resignation. It is the active choice to trust in my character when you cannot understand my ways. It is saying, I don't understand, but I trust who you are. Blessed is the one you discipline, Lord, the one you teach from your law. You grant them relief from days of trouble. Psalm 94, 12-13. Relief comes, not always on the timeline you would choose, not always in the way you would expect, but it comes because I am faithful to my word and to my people. Not everything that looks like victory is victory, and not every form of suffering is defeat. Sometimes the valley that seems to have no end is exactly where I am doing my deepest work, inside of you.
I need to tell you about a difference that will change everything. The difference between feeling and faith. Most people believe that faith is the absence of fear, that trusting in me means not feeling the trembling, not hearing the voice of doubt, not having your heart race in the face of the unknown, that when faith is real, the fear simply goes away. But that is not what I taught. David was afraid. The Psalms are full of his fears, real, raw, desperate. He wrote about enemies surrounding him, about nights that seemed to have no end, about moments when the ground felt like it was giving way beneath his feet. David was not a man who didn't feel fear. David was a man who chose to trust, even with the fear still present. And it was in the middle of one of those battles, not after it, that he declared something I want to sink deep into you right now. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Psalm 27, 1. Light, salvation,
stronghold. These were not words born out of comfort. They were declarations born out of battle. David chose to speak what he knew about me, not what he was feeling in that moment. I want you to understand something about that choice. It doesn't need to be made once. It needs to be made every single day, sometimes several times in the same day, sometimes in the middle of the night when fear wakes you up and the silence feels too heavy. Trust is not a destination you reach and never have to revisit. It is a choice you renew, morning after morning, moment after moment, until it becomes the natural posture of your soul. And I am here through every renewal of that choice. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from Him. Truly, He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. Psalm 62, 1-2. The soul finds rest in me, not in answers, not in solutions, not when the problem is resolved, in me, in my presence, in my character, in the certainty of who I am. And when the soul finds rest in me, it can say what seemed impossible to say in the middle of fear. I will not be shaken. Not because the circumstances are favorable, not because the fear has disappeared, but because the rock I am standing on does not depend on circumstances. It is unchanging. It is eternal. It is me. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With Him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest secure. Psalm 16, 8 and 9. Keep your eyes on me, not on the waves, not on the problems, not on the scenarios fear constructs at 3 in the morning. On me. Faith is not the absence of trembling, it is remaining standing while everything trembles. I need to expand your vision for a moment, not to minimize what you are feeling, not to say that your pain is small, but because there is something fear does to perspective. It narrows it. It makes you see only the chapter you're in as if it were the entire story. But you are not the author of your story. I am, and I see the complete book, every chapter, every turn, every moment that hasn't happened yet. When you are inside a valley, all you can see are the walls around you. The valley feels like everything. It feels like the end. But from above, from the perspective of the one who sees the full map, the valley is just one part of the road. It has an entrance, it has an exit, and it has a purpose. I know the purpose of your valley. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. I have installed my King on Zion, my holy mountain. Psalm 2, 4 and 6. While the world around you seems out of control, I am enthroned, reigning, present. Nothing has slipped from my hands. No circumstance of your life has escaped my sovereignty. Not one chapter of your story was written without my knowledge. Our God is in heaven. He does whatever He pleases. Psalm 115, 3. Not because I am distant or indifferent, but because I am sovereign, and my sovereignty is your deepest security. It means that nothing that happens to you is beyond my reach. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life. With your right hand you save me. The Lord will vindicate me. Your love, Lord, endures forever. Do not abandon the works of your hands. Psalm 138, 7 and 8. I do not abandon what I begin. You are the work of my hands, and I do not let go of what I created. Even in the middle of tribulation, I preserve. Even when the road seems impossible, my right hand holds you up. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. Psalm 84, 6. Baca means tears. It is the valley of weeping, the place where the pain seems to have no end. But look at what happens there.
The valley of tears becomes a place of springs. The weeping becomes a testimony. I turn places of tears into places of testimony. Your pain is not the final chapter. The valley is not your destination. It is part of the road that leads there.
We have reached the end of this journey together. And before you go, before you close this and return to the life waiting for you on the other side, I need you to hear one last thing, not as the conclusion of a video, as a personal declaration from me to you. I am your refuge. I saw every tear. I was your wings in the storm. I restored your soul in the valley. I was with you in the invisible battle of faith. I upheld every step of your choice to trust, and I am writing a story greater than any pain you have ever felt. That does not change. Now I want you to hear the words my servants left behind, not as quotes from an ancient book, but as declarations I placed in their hearts to reach you today. The Lord is my shepherd. I take care of you. My help comes from the Lord. Your help comes from me. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Fear doesn't have to be the end of the story. My soul finds rest in God. The rest you are looking for is in me. And now the declaration I want to become yours. I will not be shaken. Not because you are strong enough, but because the rock you are standing on is me, and I am not shaken. I spoke through Psalm 34, and I say it to you personally now, as the last word I want you to carry with you from here. I sought the Lord, and He answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Psalm 34, verse 4. You sought me today, perhaps without fully realizing it, perhaps with a heavy heart and questions still unanswered, but you came, and I answered, and I am delivering you. Not maybe, not someday, now, in the process, on the road, in the middle of the valley. I am delivering you from all your fears. And now I declare over you, not what fear says you are, not what your circumstances suggest, not the voice of doubt whispers in the early hours of the morning. You are mine. You may have arrived here feeling like everything was falling apart, but you will not leave the same way, because the words you heard today were not human words, they were my words, and my word does not return to me empty. It does what I sent it to do. You may still feel the trembling. That's okay. Stay standing anyway, because that is exactly what faith is. You may be wounded, you may cry, you may walk through dark valleys, but you will not be shaken, because you are mine, and I am not shaken, not now, not ever. If this encounter touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear the voice of God today. And if you want to keep listening, I still have so much more to say to you.